Okay, Assalamualaikum. So today we proceed with the sampling technique. Okay, so what is the sampling technique? So before this, I briefly explain about how we select the sample from the population, which is that the sample adalah subset of population. So we have the sampling technique. It is the way how to select the sample from population, and actually it have several method of sampling technique. The different method of sampling technique, it depends pada the situation of the researcher and the situation of the population. So, the sampling is the scientific procedure of selecting a sample from a population. Itu adalah definition of sampling. So, why we are doing sampling? Kenapa you rasa kita kena buat sampling? Kenapa kita tak ambil all the population sebagai kita punya sample? We only take the subset of the population sahaja yang dipanggil sample lah. Okay, so the purpose is actually the first one, it save cost and time. Kan? Bila kita ambil sedikit saja kan, we take only several of the population, so it will save the cost and time, and then it is easier to collect the data from sample rather than the whole population. Bila nak ambil setiap satu, kalau nak ambil setiap satu kan, kalau macam buat bancian, kalau kerajaan buat census, bancian memang dia akan ambil keseluruhan. So it will take times and then costly sebab kena hire lagi ramai enumerator kan. So if we are using the sampling, so it will save cost and time. And then so since the data are collected in a short time, kan, dalam masa yang sekejap saja, because of we only take the sample, so the data can be processed and analysed more quickly. Okay, so that is the purpose of the sampling, why we are doing sampling rather than the census. Okay, so to proceed with the sampling technique, to choose which one is the sampling technique, the best sampling technique that can we use. First of all, you can determine dulu the sampling frame. So you need to know what is the sampling frame. So the sampling frame adalah the list of all population element or sampling unit. Maksudnya kena list down all the population dengan dia punya unique information, unique. Okay, so contohnya we want to conduct a study from UiTM Kelantan students. So the population will be all the students in UiTM Kelantan. So the sampling frame ni adalah you kena list down kan apa dia, the unique object. Kalau kita punya population tadi, contoh UiTM Kelantan, kita punya population adalah students kan, all the students. So the sampling frame can be the list of matrix number of all the students in UiTM Kelantan. Okay, ataupun list of students name, list of all UiTM Kelantan students name. So benda yang unik, nama ataupun ID number. Maybe it can be, kalau let's say the other population, it can be phone number kan, it can be credit card, customer list or the voter list. Benda-benda yang unik. Okay, yang berbeza daripada berbeza from one a person with another person. That is the sampling frame. You need to list down all the information from the population. So what is the sampling unit pula? Sampling unit adalah the unit listed in the sampling frame. Macam tadi, the population will be the students, all the ID numbers all of the students. So the sampling unit will be the students. Okay, I will briefly explain a little bit about the process of the sampling technique. But actually, the process of the sampling technique ni berbeza from each of the sampling technique. Ada beberapa, ada 7 sampling technique altogether, but this one will be the flow dia lah, the general flow of the sampling technique. So the first one, you need to identify the population, and then list down the sampling frame, and then specify the sampling technique. Okay, you need to choose which sampling technique, the best sampling technique can be used for the certain population or data, and then determine the sample size. Okay, daripada kita dah pilih tadi sampling technique yang the best sampling technique, so daripada situ kita boleh determine berapa banyak sampel yang nak ambil. Daripada 1000 nak ambil 20 ke, nak ambil 500 ke. Okay, it depends pada sampling technique use. Last kali, we will select the sample. Okay, this is the types of the sampling techniques that we have. So actually we have 2 types of sampling technique. Yang besarnya adalah probability sampling technique and also non-probability sampling technique. So we have 5 probability sampling technique and we have 4 for non-probability sampling technique. The best technique adalah from probability sampling technique. Okay, the best adalah from probability sampling technique. Kenapa? Because of probability sampling technique uses the random selection, while probability sampling does otherwise. So kalau kita gunakan probability sampling technique, okay, the sample selected from this method based on known probabilities ataupun all the element ataupun all the population, all the subject ataupun object will have the same chance to be selected. Okay, tapi kalau gunakan non-probability sampling technique, it is not rely on the probability theory. So means that not all the object ataupun subject will have the same chance to be selected. Okay, because of that, probability sampling lagi bagus daripada non-probability sampling. Okay, so kalau dia punya alternatif, okay, kalau probability sampling technique, kita kena ada a complete sampling frame. Kita kena ada semua, kalau macam student tadi, kena ada semua ID number of students baru boleh kita proceed dengan non-probability sampling technique. Okay, if not, alternatifnya adalah kita gunakan non-probability sampling technique. Tapi dia ada limit lah, analysis yang you boleh buat limited. You just boleh buat descriptive saja. You cannot proceed with the inferential statistic if you use non-probability sampling technique. Because of that, the best sampling technique used adalah from probability sampling technique. Okay, so we will go one by one. Okay, the first one, simple random sampling. Maybe you all pernah dengar kan, simple random sampling. It is a sample in which all members of the population have equal chances of being selected. The random samples are selected by using the chance method ataupun random number. Okay, so dia simple random sampling ni macam cabutan bertuah lah. Random saja. You pilih secara random. Tapi simple random sampling technique, kita bukan ambil secara kita kena, we need to explain that technique secara spesifik. Dia ada step dia. Okay. The first one, simple random sampling can be done using the random number table ataupun random number generated by computers. Okay. Kita ada table, ada random, dinamakan random number table. From there we can choose which which object ataupun members of the population that should be selected first. Okay, kita boleh tengok daripada random number. Second one, siapa pula yang selected. Okay, boleh gunakan random number table dan juga boleh gunakan number generators by computers. But remember, untuk probability sampling technique, probability tadi kita ada 5 kan? Kita ada 5. Semua this technique, all these 5 techniques kena ada complete sampling frame. Kena ada complete sampling frame. So first of all, you need to determine the sampling frame first. Okay, determine the sampling frame first and then list down the sampling frame with unique number. Numberkan dia number 1, number 2, number 1, 2, 3. If you have the population, if 50 contohnya, for example, we have the population altogether 50. So first step, we need to list down all the sampling frame and number it. So you numberkan ID number students tadi contohnya 1 until 50. So first step, you need to list down all the sampling frame and number the sampling frame with unique number. Okay, and then choose the next step. We can choose one by one until achieve how many sample size that we have. And di sini adalah sample size. How many sample size that we need. Choose one by one until achieve n. Contohnya from 50 students, we only want to choose 10. How we determine berapa banyak nak select as a sample, it depends pada researcher. Okay, it depends pada researcher. Usually researcher will select the sample, we choose the sample according to the previous studies, okay, ataupun from the previous literature review, okay, for the certain topic. Okay, let's say tadi kita nak pilih 10 sahaja. So we first of all kena obtain the sampling frame, list down all the sampling frame and label the sampling frame with a unique number. The next one, the second step, choose one by one until we achieve 10 sample. Okay, how to choose one by one? Using using random number table or random numbers generated by computers. Okay, that is the simple random sampling. It's very simple actually. Ada 2 methods sahaja, but you need, if the question wants you to explain, so you need to explain one by one according to the steps. Okay, so I nak tunjuk example dulu. Example. So let's say this is the case study. So usually the question will give you the case study and then you need to determine ataupun you need to answer the question from the case study given. Okay, let's say the example, Star Cruises, the leading cruise line in Asia Pacific, offers special rates to Malaysian senior citizens. The agency wishes to conduct a survey on the ages of these groups of customers. A sample of 150 senior citizens who took the offer is selected at random. Okay, that is the case study. You kena fahamkan betul-betul dia punya case study. Okay, so daripada case study ni, macam mana you nak conduct the sampling technique? So first of all, you kena tahu what is the population first. Apa dia population daripada survey ni yang Star Cruise ni nak buat? So what do you think? The population. Okay, so the population will be all the Malaysian senior citizens customer of Star Cruises. Okay, that is the population. Semua Malaysian senior citizens customer of Star Cruises. That is the population kita, semua senior citizens daripada Star Cruises customer. Yang kedua, kena statekan dia punya sampling frame. sampling frame apa yang you rasa kat sini yang boleh you ambil unique, dia punya unique characteristic of the population. Population kita adalah senior citizen. Apa dia punya unique characteristic yang boleh kita bezakan from one person to another person. Okay, so it can be list of IC number of all Malaysian senior citizens from Star Cruises. Senior citizen customers of Star Cruises. Okay, kena list down. List of all the population. So daripada sini population adalah list of all IC number of Malaysian senior citizens customer from Star Cruises. Alright. So next question C, describe the variable of interest. Apa benda yang you nak kaji? The variable of interest. Apa yang you nak kaji daripada study ni? Okay, kalau you boleh baca the second sentence, dia kata the agency wishes to conduct a survey on the ages of this group of customer. So the variable of interest will be the age of the customer of Star Cruises. Dan ditanya states its type. Types of the variable that you have learned before this. Types of the variable. Type of variable for ages. Age tadi. What is the type of variable of age? Okay, age adalah quantitative variable, kan? So, which one? Continuous ataupun discrete. So, age can be expressed in decimal places. So, we can say that age adalah continuous quantitative variables. Okay, soalan D. Identify the most appropriate sampling technique and describe how it should be carried out. Okay, the most appropriate sampling technique. Okay, so kat sini kan, because of we know the information from the case study adalah populationnya adalah customer Malaysian senior citizen customer of Star Cruises, and then dia nak select 150 daripada all the Malaysian senior citizen. So the very suitable technique adalah simple random sampling. Okay, sebab daripada keseluruhan kita nak ambil 150 saja. The other technique nanti I akan ceritakan macam mana dia punya situation. Kalau your population boleh digroupkan, you kena gunakan teknik lain. So kalau kat sini information kat sini your population cannot be grouped into subgroup yang lain. So kita the best sampling technique used should be the simple random sampling. So dia nak you describe how it should be carried out. So you kena buat step by step. Ada 2 step tadi lah. First step, you kena list down all the sampling frame. So you katakan list of all the IC number of the Star Cruise Malaysian senior citizen customer and number it, ataupun numbered the IC number of Star Cruises customer. All the Star Cruises customer. The first step. Second step, choose one by one. Okay. Select the sample one by one using the random number table ataupun using the random number generated by computers until 150 sample is selected. Okay, so that is the way how you describe the technique of SRS, simple random sampling. Okay, so from this topic, you boleh jawab sehingga D dulu. E tu kita hold dulu. Alright. Okay, saya nak tambah sikit. Every sampling technique ni actually akan ada dia punya advantages and disadvantages. So it is important for you to remember just one or two of the advantages of disadvantages. Okay, so untuk simple random sampling technique, advantage dia adalah apa dia? Maybe you can fikir secara logik. Okay, advantage-nya adalah it easy to implement sebab dia ada 2 step saja. First kena ada sampling frame, and then you choose one by one using the random number table. So it easy to implement. It is the advantage of the probability sampling technique. And dia punya disadvantage adalah it is not efficient because of it expensive and difficult, maybe difficult to obtain the sampling frame. Okay, it is expensive and difficult to obtain the sampling frame. That is the disadvantage of the SRS technique. So you would need to memorize one or two of the advantage and disadvantage of each sampling technique.